Q School, playing as a professional this season for the first time, and he gets a very early crack at the world champion. Big crowd once again here inside this 4,000-seater venue, the Metropole in Nuremberg, and Luca Brecel, who of course, as we now know, is playing with a cue that he would prefer not to, having lost the one that won him the world title in transit from America to Europe during his world tour, post his triumph at the Crucible. Well, he was able to overcome that setback to see off Jackson Page in the first round.
Thank you. First frame.
It's world champion Luca Brecel against Ishpreet Singh for a place in the third round of the European Masters, and it is the Indian player to get us underway. Their first meeting. Clearly not ideal, Neil, that Brecel is not able to play with the cue that won him the world title, but although he wasn't at his best against Jackson Page, he got the job done.
Indeed. Good afternoon to everyone watching here in Nuremberg. Yeah, he's had probably a week, I think, or 10 days to use a different cue while he was hoping that his other one would appear, and it hasn't appeared. So that's not ideal. Like you say, it's not quite as dramatic as Dean Young yesterday turning up and his cue wasn't with him when he arrived here in Germany, and he had to use Louis Heathcote's because the cue he'd never used before. So that was worse situation. And certainly Ishpreet Singh is somebody who's pretty determined. I mean, he practicing quite a lot, relatively new to it all, but he's already had some wins. I mean, players can go a long time in getting their first win on tour. He's already picked up 3 if you include a win in the Championship League, so yeah, he's made a pretty satisfactory start to his professional career.
Came through impressively in the Asia Oceania Q School 2. In fact, he only dropped 3 frames in the 6 matches. He won the final without dropping 1. And he's already made 6 centuries this season, so he's a player who is capable of heavy scoring when he gets the chance. It was a beautiful red he stroked in to set up this early opportunity to settle what must be, you would think, a few nerves out there, playing in front of a big audience on TV. This is all new for him. But he's a very determined character. Before he was able to join the professional snooker ranks, he was one of India's top professional gamers. Quite a story, actually. He was working on his snooker and then suffered quite a serious leg injury. Basically couldn't walk properly for 7 months. He had to put the cue away for a while and got into gaming in a big way in India.
70.
Something called Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which sounds quite ominous, and frankly is, I think. It's a first-person shooter involving a team of 5 players. Anyway, he was winning big national tournaments. He became the best player in India. And then COVID hit, and the sport, which had become very popular, began to wane a little in popularity. Sponsors dropped out.
24.
And eventually he decided to turn his attentions back to snooker, and well, you've seen the results. Here he is as a pro playing the world champion.
$25.
Yes, and it's good to see new faces on the tour, especially from parts of the world where we don't see, you know, an awful lot of snooker being played. Of course, we know that snooker was invented originally in India, so, and there have been some fine players. But it's just nice to see somebody from there. That's a lovely little cannon. He's being coached by Yassin Merchant, who played on the tour. I remember playing Yassin Merchant
32.
in a qualifier many years ago. He was a good player. Played billiards to a high level as well. So he's got good people behind him, 33. And clearly, as you're seeing here, he doesn't look phased at this stage. He's in first, and at this stage acquitting himself well. I'm not wishing to put the curse on him, of course. Deciding to play the pink to the middle here. The black feels that doesn't guarantee him position on his next red. It's a lovely start.
He's also ambitious. He's relocated to the UK. He's based himself in Sheffield. He plays at Ding's Academy. His mum has come over from Mumbai to support him. And he wants to be a real trailblazer and grow the game in India. It's obviously a challenge financially for players who aren't based where most of the snooker is played, in terms of the costs of travelling and
39.
everything that goes with the professional sport. So he's hoping that he can be an inspiration. Of course, we've
40.
seen fine Indian players before, the likes of Pankaj Advani, who of course is a top-class billiards player as well. Aditya Mehta. Himanshu Jain is also on the circuit, but Singh certainly wants to be someone who really can be an inspiration to grow the game back home. And this is a very impressive start, isn't it?
It is, and you can see that players from India often have that billiards background, which certainly helps. Clearly snooker's a different game to billiards, but
48.
the control of the cue ball, you can almost see a billiard player when you see them play snooker. There's an element of control that snooker players don't always have, and touch. It's a very skillful game, billiards, because it's not as popular as it may be. Some people think it should be these days. That's the first semblance of an error, because where he's finished, and for him to keep this break going, it would be taking a mighty risk, playing the red to the middle, going into the bunch. So it may be that he wants to think again here. Doesn't want to make 51 and then make a blunder which allows Luca Brecel straight back in. So maybe on the balance of percentages of the game, he might just feel that it's time to play a good safety shot. Let's see what he comes up with. There's always the temptation when you get a half century to just play the shot to just continue the break. But he's not been tempted.
Ishpreet Charter, 51.
Encouraging start, not the best of safety shots to conclude, but not so bad.
An impressively composed opening from the underdog then. 51 lead. It's an impressive lineup in this afternoon session on the second day here in Nuremberg. The likes of defending champion Kyron Wilson, Judd Trump, Ali Carter, Mark Williams, Matthew Stevens, who are playing each other in a repeat of the 2000 World Final. All in action in this session. And of course you can watch tables 1 to 4 on Discovery Plus. Wilson and Burden on table 2, Trump and Jordan Brown, former Welsh Open champion of course, on table 3. And Williams and Stevens on table 4. So a mistake.
Yes, and a potentially very serious mistake, because the red just came in to back into the bunch and opened up anything that wasn't already in open play.
1.
So let's see what Luca comes back with here. You know, he played okay, I thought, Luca Brecel, yesterday. Jackson Page had him in a position where he could have taken it to a decider. Failed to do so, made 1 or 2 errors himself, the Welshman. And Luca Brecel's first match as a world champion with, as we've said, a different cue. A lot of talk about the kind of season he might have. A lot of speculation that he just might find the pressure of being world champion a lot to carry on his shoulders, but only time is going to tell on that score. He might have a terrific season. Maybe that'll be the... You'll see him move to higher levels, who knows.
4.
No breaks of 54, 66 and 80 in getting past Jackson Page 5-3 in the first round. Of course the top 8 players had their first round matches held back to this venue here in Nuremberg.
10.
Julian Bell, the referee for this match.
$11. $17.
Obviously, the couple of reds that are out away from the centre of the table could be a problem later on. The red on the right especially.
18.
Alfie Burden in the background there, taking on Kyron Wilson on table 2. Burden back on the tour again this season, having come through Q School.
Now, I wonder if he played that in such a way that he might move that red here. Played purposely low, but it's on the other one instead. Perhaps he didn't play what I suggested.
25.
He certainly will have eyes on trying to push that red out into the middle of the table if he could.
$32. $33.
Well, again, he doesn't want to be straight. That's the worst angle for whatever option he takes. That kind of angle mightn't be one to get the cannon, but he could screw up for the red in bulk here, directly up. Played it pretty well, actually.
$39. $40.
Well, that wasn't a good shot. I don't know. I'm assuming he tried to screw back onto the brown. It seemed the obvious ball to get from brown to red, but he underdid it. So now what? May have a pot with the green, but he's probably too straight to get close to the red or knock it out from the green.
Green one.
So option 2, play a snooker, which is probably not that difficult to hit. A little swerve around the brown ball. You've got to ensure that he has some control over the shot in playing it. And the double kiss could have worked out a lot worse.
Foul. Ishpreet, Charlie.
Oh, that was a quite poor mistake to make. He left a free ball, I think.
Free ball.
Well, that could be a frame-losing moment there for Brecel.
One.
Colour acting, of course, as an extra red, so pretty good chance for Singh to get this first frame on the board. Certainly looked impressive in composing that initial 51
7.
before he lost position. Just this red and the colour.
8.
Well, it's been a good frame, I think. One that Ishpreet Singh has just about dominated. He made the one safety error, and then he went for a long pot, but none of those shots cost him. So 15. A good start in a pretty potentially intimidating and nerve-wracking match for him against the world champion.
70.
Certainly hasn't looked nervous. Straight into his stride with that excellent initial red to set up the half-century.
20. $24. $29. $35.
Even that shot played with a lot of left-hand side was a good one, so an excellent start for the Indian player.
42.
A very confident start, an initial break of 51 and a clearance of 42 from Singh. Has got the world champion Luca Brecel on the back foot early in the second round match at the European Masters. Singh leading 1-0. Very impressively composed start from Singh of India. It's a 51 and a 42 clearance after Luca Brecel had inadvertently knocked in the blue and in the process left a free ball. That gave Singh the chance to clinch the opening frame. Of course, 5 are required to move into the round of 32. The winner to play Robbie Williams, who beat Pang Junju in our morning session by 5 frames to 1. Just a reminder, you can watch the action on the other tables on Discovery Plus. Kyron Wilson and Alfie Burden, Judd Trump against Jordan Brown on tables 2 and 3 respectively. Judd Trump has taken the opener against Brown. You may have been with us earlier on Discovery Plus to watch an outstanding performance from Tepchairan Nu, who whitewashed the player of last season, Mark Allen, 3 times ranking titleist, semi-finalist of course at the World Championship, and played quite beautifully. Late breaks of 85, 92, 128, could have finished with a maximum break. He missed the 11th black into the right corner, but played superbly. Allen clapped him out of the arena. Other results this morning: a comfortable win for Mark Selby, World Championship finalist, beating Adam Duffy 5-1. Perhaps the most notable win of the day came for Zach Shurty, who was 4 down with 5 to play against Zhang Jun and won 5 on the bounce. Other winners were Zhao Guodong over Stuart Bingham, whose struggles continue. A very indifferent season for Stuart last season, and not the best start this, losing 5-3. Dave Gilbert beat Ryan Evans 5-1. Up on Sankam beat Mark Davis, and as mentioned, Robbie Williams got the better of Pang, and he'll play the winner of this match.
I think that match earlier with Tepchairan Nu and Mark Allen, you think that Mark Allen could have been world #1 had he won this week with O'Sullivan pulling out. I mean, you wouldn't see
30.
a more one-sided match against a top player, and of course Mark Allen was the player of the last season. He won the award for being the player of the season. And yet, a more one-sided match
80.
you wouldn't see very often. It's completely outplayed the entirety of the match. It was a poor safety
90.
shot that Ishpreet played here. It was a pretty easy safety shot as well, actually, and he just hit a red on the way up the table. The kind of errors that are avoidable, to be quite honest. One of the few mistakes he has made.
26. 27.
There's that very long bridge from Luca Brecel, which there was a period of time, and I think enough people told him that his bridge hand was too far away from the ball, and I think he took the advice for a while.
35.
But last year he thought, no, I'm doing it my way, and didn't he just do that in the World Championships? Did everything pretty unconventionally, and his cue action is his own. I don't think I've seen anybody with the kind of cue action that he's got. So it was
42.
bringing the cue back like a pendulum back and through the ball. And he's got a terrific gift as a player, Brecel. It's all coming together now as well.
I think you could make a case for saying that Brecel's World Championship triumph was as good as we've ever seen, if not better, actually, when you consider not only the calibre of players he beat, but the manner in which he beat them. Mark Williams in round 2, of course, having finally got his first ever win at the venue by the skin of his teeth in the first round against Ricky Walden, but then that sensational comeback against Ronnie O'Sullivan to win 7 straight frames. Extraordinary. And then the greatest comeback of all time at the Crucible from 9 frames adrift to Si Jiahui, and then beating arguably the toughest player in the game over 35 frames in Mark Selby. It doesn't get any harder than that. It was an extraordinary achievement.
50.
And as you say, it wasn't necessarily a conventional build-up or preparation. There was a fair bit of partying. He was travelling back home between matches. Said he'd hardly practiced, but it worked for him.
51.
Spot not available, no other spot either, so there's nowhere else to put it but there.
57. 58.
So the world champion on the cusp of levelling this match. It's been a fluent riposte to losing the first frame.
64.
Yes, he was gifted the chance, but of course you've got to make sure that you capitalise on it when it comes. Frame more coming up. 2 pretty open frames thus far.
Applause to acknowledge frame ball, just 67 left. And that red will do the trick for sure. So Luca Brecel not fazed by dropping the opening frame.
Luca
It's Mr. Black,
52.
59 left. But Ishpreet Singh remains in his chair. So, battle joined here in Nuremberg. The world champion Luca Brecel with a fluent break levelling up proceedings here. It's one frame all.
Thank you. Frame 3. Ishpreet Charter to break.
Brand new venue for the European Masters, which started back in 2016 in Bucharest, Romania. We've been to Belgium, we've been to Austria. It was played behind closed doors as a result of COVID in Milton Keynes, and the last 2 years Germany.
Yeah, snooker in Germany doing well. In fact, the German Masters, previously always a 5-day event, will be a 7-day event when it's played at the end of January into early February at the Tempodrom. 2024 is this season, of course, so great to see that event extended. Don't know whether they'll take more players over there or quite how that's going to work, but it's going to be terrific, as it always is at that venue in Berlin. I look forward to it no end. Anyway, a good pot, but now really he's put himself under a lot of pressure. There's plenty resting on this black ball, and tricky little shot from queuing up there. Very well done. That's excellent. That shot is very missable.
8.
He's just pushed that one to the jaw, though.
Ishpreet Charter 8.
Yeah, I think it was on his way into the same pocket had he hit it with a little bit more pace, but it would have been an outrageous fluke. He's not made many mistakes, but that was one of about 2 or 3, and again, at the moment he appears to be paying for the errors that he is making in between all the good play that he's putting together.
One. Seven. Eight. $13. 14.
'Not only the wrong side of the blue ball. I mean, just a final point on the cue. He was obviously extremely disappointed to not get his cue back when he travelled to
19.
America recently. So now he's using a replacement of about a couple of weeks, I think. But of course, if you remember, he played at the Masters a few years ago when he was in the top 16 and took 2 cues out to the arena with him, which is always a sign that a player is a little confused about their cues. So it sounds to me as if he's used a few before, and it might turn out that he will eventually adapt to this. But he's disappointed because the other cue,
23.
well, it's got a bit more than sentimental value. He won the world title with it, but also he said it was his best cue he's ever used. Somewhere in the world that is, but it's not in Luca's possession. Quite like to know where that cue is right now.
24.
I think that's the point, that that particular cue he felt was the best that he'd ever used. Even before he won the world title, he previously hadn't been fazed by chopping and changing cues in particular, but having found that one that he was particularly happy with, and having produced the heroics he did with it in Sheffield, to lose it in those circumstances, obviously very frustrating. It may yet turn up, of course, and it's to be hoped from Brecel's point of view that it does. You've already seen one or two signs of frustration, perhaps in losing prime position already in this match, which he might not have done had he got that cue, but he's still
27.
going in a bid to go 2-1 up.
Played that shot nicely. I mean, if the cue's been stolen and someone else is using it, I can assure you they're not going to be using it to the level Luca Brecel did at the World Championships, because he played quite phenomenal snooker at times in that championship.
It's still scarcely credible that he was able to overturn a 14-5 deficit and win with a frame to spare against Si Jiahui. And then, of course, held off that fight back on the last evening against Mark Selby, who closed to within a frame from 16-10 down.
The other thing about Luca is he's a pretty quick player. In that final, he won some frames in 6-7 minutes, just when someone like Mark Selby can tax you in every department, but he can't win. His opponent's just potting all the balls until there's none left. This break has been fluent as well. Still got more to do. 36 in front, be 43 with the black, and probably 3 reds will just about seal the frame. Oh, he may be on the left-hand red of the two close together. Deserves to be. No, maybe perhaps he's not then. He's got to play up the table. Might be able to just play it with a tracer left-hand side to make the red potable. But as you can see, it's not quite on.
$52.
Well, this will be a tester, because I think his long game has been a little hit or miss in this match, and more so yesterday in his win against Jackson Page. Beautiful, no problem. So this black and the further red is what he needs to get the frame 1.
$65. $66.
I think it's just a sign of Brecel's talent that
71.
he can play the way he is at the moment, in spite of losing his cue.
72.
He is unconventional in the way in which he cues, the way in which he prepares or doesn't prepare for matches sometimes. But he is a spectacular talent.
79.
It all came together perfectly at the Crucible, when, remember, previously he'd never won a match there and very nearly lost in the first round to Walden. Who could have imagined that he would play the way he did thereafter? And it is going to be fascinating to see how he reacts to that this season. We've seen it go both ways in the past. Our own Joe Johnson has admitted he struggled in the season after he won it, although of course he then got to the final
Luca Brecel.
the following year. And the break goes on.
Yes, and I think the double is one way of making it go on a little bit more as well. Not happening. So finally it ends.
A nice break of 85 nonetheless from Luca Brecel. All smiles, and no wonder, having lost the opening frame. He's hit back to now lead this match here in Nuremberg at the European Masters by 2 frames to 1. 1 to come before the interval. So a break of 85 from the world champion. Let's put Luca Brecel 2-1 up on Ishpreet Singh. Brecel looking to land a 5th ranking title this week. Pick up where he left off last season. Made his breakthrough in Guangzhou in China back in 2017. Won the China Championship. Beat Ronnie O'Sullivan on the way. Beat Sean Murphy in the final. Murphy, by the way, is our feature this evening from 7 o'clock UK time. He's playing Daniel Wells. He's already won the Championship League this season. Murphy, having won 2 big titles last season, says he's playing the snooker of his life. Hard to argue with him. John Higgins is also in action this evening against former European Masters finalist Zhou Yulong, who of course was whitewashed back in 2020 by Neil Robertson, who bowed out yesterday. And last year's finalist Barry Hawkins plays James Cahill. Yes, he's done pretty well to avoid the in-off there, Singh, who became India's national champion back in 2022 and was also a silver medalist at the Asian Snooker Championship. Mentioned the professional gaming, which he's made a great success of. On the face of it, you wouldn't think there'd be too many similarities with this sport, but he actually feels that his success in gaming has helped his snooker in terms of the dedication required, the fact that you're the focus of a lot of attention, you've got to perform under pressure. Feels as though his match temperament has improved as a result of all of that. Certainly looked very composed in the first frame, which he dominated. Could have done without catching the middle pocket jaw, though.
Yeah, it's always something that happens on those shots. It's not really a poor, unlucky. It's a poor shot to hit that. It means you just shape the key ball back to baulk incorrectly.
One.
Good shot, that is. You could have played it to the middle. It was a little thin, but if there's any issues with the cue, then I think that's the sort of shot you might miss. Hit it very well.
Seven.
Very good stats from both of them, really. Well into the 90s in terms of pot success.
30. $80. 90.
Well, the red on the black spot is one he'd love to get out of the way and get the black up there on its own spot. Just making things a little awkward. I think that's what he's played on this time around. He's played on that red.
23. 24. 29.
Elsewhere, Judd Trump has taken a 2-0 lead now over the former Welsh Open champion Jordan Brown. Mark Williams now leads Matthew Stevens by 2 frames to 1 on table 4. You can watch those matches on Discovery Plus. Luca Brecel looking to take a 3-1 interval lead here.
$37. $38.
And that's worked out well. The knuckle in the middle pocket landing in perfectly on the blue. Well, that was also quite fortunate. He will need a little more, so taking this red to the middle, those 6 are all tied up, it seems. I don't know if there's a plant anywhere, the top 2. Obviously the other red pushed now to a cushion, so he's not over the line yet by any means.
$44. $49.
Now, is that a plant? He seems to think it is. Played on it. Just the near jaw, so...
Luca Brecel, 49.
Just wonder if the red below the pink now goes to that same middle pocket. Possible turning point, perhaps.
One.
Played that with confidence. So this is a useful opportunity for Ishpreet Singh to get right back into this frame in a bid to tie up this match. It was looking like it was going to be 3-1 before Brecel missed that plant, just shaving the near jaw of the centre pocket.
7.
Has got a safe red to negotiate up the table, but at the very least he can reduce the arrears.
Yes, I mean, Luca Brecel will think that red might well be his saviour because there isn't really much else that's safe, and we've already seen with that half-century break at the start of frame 1 that this Ishpreet Chadha has got a chance in this frame still. the shame about the cue ball. It was otherwise quite a nice cannon. The next red, well, that's going to be difficult.
15.
Good shot. Nice cueing.
$23. $24.
Little stun one through, nicely played. If the green was on its spot, it would help. I know it doesn't seem important, but getting onto the green off the last red and pushing that other red out into play could be one way of winning the frame here. There are other cannons available, of course. We'll see how
30.
he ends up on his next red.
$31.
When you've just turned professional and it's such a quantum leap from the amateur ranks, some early victories are just the tonic required to build confidence. And of course he's already had a bit of success this season with that draw in the Championship League with Dave Gilbert. He beat Sean O'Sullivan, who's made a maximum already this season, 3-0 in that event. Beat Ryan Thomason in the first round of this and has also qualified for the upcoming British Open. So it's been a very encouraging start to his pro career. And you can see that he is playing with confidence. He's cueing well. He's got plenty to do to turn this into a frame winning chance, but he's back in the frame at least.
$38.
Oh, goodness me, he tried a lot there. I was wondering if he's winding himself up to play that shot, but I mean, first of all, into the middle pockets at that kind of speed, things can go wrong. And annoyingly, he missed the pot, but got the cannon perfectly. Had the pink on him, we'd have been saying great shot.
One.
And that, you would think, is going to prove fatal. And you can see Ishpreet very cross with himself there, because it was a chance to get out of this mini session 2 each, which would have been a great result. But now Brecel pretty close to taking a 3-1 interval lead. Shake of the head though.
5.
Yeah, well, the problem here, of course, is the green is away from its spot, so he hasn't got a very large area of the table he can land on the green. He's got to be quite precise with this shot, pace-wise. Doesn't want to get the brown in the way. That'll do him nicely, that's good. It turned out to be something that he could overcome pretty easily.
And it was frame ball, 28 the difference.
10.
Well, a very competitive session, which could have been shared. Ishpreet, Singh, Chadha starting very well with those breaks of 51 and 42 to dominate the first frame. Brecel hitting back nicely, made an 85 for 2-1. Got in with 49 at the start of this frame, missed a plant, and that allowed Ishpreet back into it, but in getting the cannon on the final red,
19.
he opened the door for Brecel to mop these balls up and take a 2-frame lead into the midway point of this second round match. The pink is academic,
And the frame.
and so ends an entertaining quartet of frames. They'll be off for their 15-minute break, and it's advantage the world champion, who continues to play well despite being without his first choice cue.
The practice area or the players' room. Either.
And he'll be 2 frames away from a place in the round of 32 here in Nuremberg when he comes back to the table in around about a quarter of an hour's time.
Frame 5.
We're back and ready to go on table 1.
Break.
Ishpreet Singh breaking off in frame 5, trailing 3-1 to Luca Brecel. The winner to play Robbie Williams, who defeated Pang Junzhu of China 5-1 in this morning's session. Just a reminder that this evening Sean Murphy will be back on the table, the Championship League winner already this season, taking on Daniel Wells of Wales.
Nice pot. Nice little nudge on the blue to stop the cue ball drifting back to Volk. Unfortunately, as you saw, the angle on the blue was not one that could take him close to the reds.
6. Karen Woodson, well. Oh, miss. Karen Woodson, 5.
Interesting way of playing. He played it with what looked to be left-hand check side down the, taking the cue ball down that side. I'm not sure why he did that, but probably has kept things relatively safe for now. He's in this match still, Ishpreet. We've already seen that he's going to be a pretty useful addition to the World Snooker Tour. He's had some success, albeit he's not beaten the top players yet, but he's had wins. Shown us in this match that he can play, and he's in it with a chance. Something of a force to be reckoned with, I would say, while he's still on that learning curve on his first experience of playing at the highest level.
Had half a chance to pinch the 4th frame. He had the awkward red up the table close to the right side cushion to contend with, and ultimately was able to dislodge it, but didn't make the pot on the colour, which cost him the frame. And that one hasn't gone as he'd hoped either, so an early chance for Brecel here. Shake of the head from Ishpreet.
Well, no obvious shot at a colour here. In fact, he's hardly got a way of hitting one. Never mind anything else.
Brecel hasn't enjoyed any great success in this tournament since its inception back in 2016.
24.
Hasn't been further than the round of 16, which he achieved a couple of times. Lost in the second round last year.
Luca, Brecel, 1.
I think he felt there, though, that just by hitting the blue, there was enough congestion amongst the reds that he wouldn't leave one.
Please.
Normally you try and send the cue ball further away from the reds.
31.
This time he has left a red, though.
One. Eight.
Just thinking about the maybe something for people at home to mull over, but first-time world champions, some of the great performances we've seen from those first-time world champions. I mean, I'm going to put up a few. Clearly Joe Johnson, our own Joe Johnson, I thought his first world title, the way that he played in that final was superb, but there are others. Dear friend of mine, Terry Griffiths in '79, I thought that was incredible, the way that he came through the draw from the snooker that he played. Judd Trump, his victory,
9.
2019, I thought that he played some devastating snooker, but I honestly think that the way that Luca won this year's title is up there with anything we've seen from a first-time champion. Stuart Bingham, you might want to mention, the way he beat everybody in his wake. Some terrific players. All of those things considered, but for me, what Luca achieved and the manner in which he did it was at times breathtaking. It was death-defying, his route, wasn't it? The way that he looked like he was going to get beaten so many times. When push came to shove, he played some fabulous snooker. I mean, notwithstanding, you know, back in '81,
24.
Davis winning for the first time, Hendry in 1990, they were great performances. They went on to win again and again, but just memorable first-time winners. A dazzling display by Luca back in the spring.
Speaking of Hendry, when he won his first world title, the following season he won the first 4 ranking titles he contested. And of course Judd Trump won a record-breaking 6 in a single season, following his only world title to date in 2019, when he produced arguably the greatest performance in a final in terms of the standard he produced to defeat John Higgins 18-9.
Thank you. 33.
There is Trump in the background there, 2-0 up on Jordan Brown. Ben Mertens and Sanderson Lamb are level at 1-all, as are Ashley Hugill and Ali Carter. Louis Heathcote and Anthony Hamilton, also 1 each. Mark Williams, 2-1 up on Matthew Stevens. We're still having a few technical issues as regards the World Snooker scoreboard. Hopefully they will be rectified. But Luca Brecel looking good here to extend his lead and really take a grip on this match now. It's a great chance for 4-1. That will take a lot of retrieving. A couple of loose safeties early on the resumption
49.
from his opponent. He's played some good stuff, but it's looking likely he's going to be 3 frames behind with 4 to play.
55. 56. 63. $64.
So this black, and it's going to be 4-1.
$71.
Yes, he's played all right, hasn't he? Pretty well here. He's taking advantage of the situation. What's the other factor in all of this? People are saying that he mightn't have the best of seasons. It's just a suspicion people have, and I understand why, but he'll always be on the show table, or just about always. I mean, if you go back a few months, we'd probably had Judd Trump playing Jordan Brown on there, but Luca Brecel has earned the right to be on the match table. He'll always be playing this kind of opposition under the glare of the TV cameras because he's earned that. So that might help him. You know, that's something to factor in. He's not playing on an outside table anytime soon.
85.
That's never happening. Not as champion of the world.
86.
Most players enjoy the spotlight, and I think Luca's one of those.
Closing in on 200 career centuries now. This will be number 199 if he can finish the job.
It's been a lovely break. It's been fluent. It's been everything that we expect from Luca.
92.
Almost a throwback to what we saw in the spring in the UK in that World Championship. Just basically points the cue.
93.
It's all instinct and skill, isn't it, with Luca? Not too much overthinking goes on, and that is a good thing. He just plays with a bit of joy, and you get the feeling that
99.
he enjoys it. The people here in Nuremberg are enjoying it. What's not to like?
And there is the century. Superb break. His opponent made the mistake of leaving him a long red, and it's proved fatal in this frame. Has the green got the legs?
Luca Brecel.
Not quite, but it doesn't matter. A superb break of 101 from Luca Brecel, the world champion, seemingly on his way to the round of 32 here in Nuremberg. He leads Ishpreet Singh at the European Masters by 4 frames to 1. He needs just one more. Luca Brecel, 1 century shy of 200 for his career. A superb break to extend his lead, having now won 4 frames in a row. After Ishpreet Singh took the opener impressively, could have won the 4th, but now finds himself 3 down with 4 to play. Robbie Williams to play the winner. That'll be for a place in the last 16. That's as far as Brecel has gone in this tournament before. Oh, that's nicely cued. Missed the cue ball a little though.
Yeah, they have to play, I think, a safety shot up the table here. Yeah, Robbie Williams, his score went a little bit under the radar. I mean, obviously the live scoring's not helping, but I did notice that he had a good win over Panjin Su by 5-1, and Panjin Su is a good player, so his win was notable, and he wouldn't be an easy match for anybody.
Ishpreet 1.
As you can see, it's been bright and breezy stuff. Less than 12 minutes per frame.
Well, that was very well played. I mean, he is on the black. The cue ball could have done with going a fraction further, but he's still going to be able to play the cannon into the 3 reds here. Yeah, that's all right. He's on the left-hand red, so he could be away and gone here. This match could be
8.
swift. We saw a very swift one this morning with Tepcharo, who absolutely pulverised Mark Allen. 5-0 in a way in which I'm sure you'll be aware of if you watched Tepcharo and New play before. You could picture in your mind just how he just bombarded Mark Allen with breaks all the way through that match.
He had 1 century, Tepchai. Could have had 4, could have had a maximum
50.
in the last frame. Just avoided, or just missed the black.
60.
The 11th black into the right corner pocket.
Yeah, there was one frame that Mark Allen probably could or should have won. It was, I think, the 3rd frame. But all the others, well, he just didn't seem to be in with any chance, because of the brilliance of his opponent. Tell you what, he plays that shot quite delightfully. He gets a lot of topspin and he changes the natural angle of a two-cushion shot like he did there.
24.
It's not an easy shot to play. Something that Judd Trump would be able to do.
Well, there's proof that Singh hasn't missed a lot today. His stats are good, but what he has done is played the odd loose safety, and Brecel has taken advantage, but that looks to have gone awry.
Didn't have to play into him there. Maybe he got a little greedy, thinking that nothing he was going to do could go wrong. He could have played on a couple of loose reds and got into the bunch off of the blue or something like that. Breaks over anyway. He has to go up the table for safety. But it is, you know, he'll be enjoying the luxury of playing all his matches on the same table, which is a distinct advantage. You know, it's been something that's been awarded to the likes of Ronnie O'Sullivan, being the entertainer that he is, and Judd, who now has been demoted to an outside table. Understandably. You know, it is handy to play all your matches on the same table. Your opponent will have been playing on some outside table and is sort of coming in from the sort of the back tables to play centre stage, so to speak. How confident is he, Luca? He's looking as if he is confident, but is he confident enough to play this long red to the right corner, the one below the blue? Oh, the answer is no. That's fine though, isn't it? It's a sensible shot, albeit one that's left a red on. Not that many opportunities remaining if Ishpreet Singh cannot do something here. That's a good shot.
One.
Perhaps now or never, I think.
Having to trust the table there, playing it at that weight, but controlled it nicely.
Eight.
Feels like it's been a slightly closer match than the scoreline suggests. Mentioned that he had a chance in the fourth frame to potentially level at 2-all.
9.
Well played. Well played. Played to the right cushion there of 2 to finish on this red, and I don't think he could have played it any better than he did. Well compiled break of 51 in frame 1 at the very start of this match to get him off to a good start, and not a great deal since, mostly due to good play from Brecel. But now another chance has come his way, and a good one.
21. $22. 29. 30. 37. 38. 43.
So far so good, and as I said before, pretty decent control of the cue ball.
44.
Little delicate shot required here to get from black to red with the angle he's on. You see the stance, quite a light grip, which is what you need if you're going to get control. And as I say, he's proving to have some Ishpreet Singh Chada.
51.
A lot of this game is that the cue ball is doing. Of course, that's what Ray Reardon always said. The most important ball on the table is the cue ball. Keeping that under tight control means you're playing a series of easy shots in a row.
52.
Now, another positional shot that's essential here to get in behind a red and get this frame one. That's not a bad shot. The cannon didn't go quite to plan, but
59.
in the lead of 29 points, he's got 2 reds to choose from. And red and a black will be enough, barring snookers.
Has missed one with the rest into this pocket. No problem this time, though.
60.
This is already his best break of the match. Started with an excellent 51 launched by a superb long red that he floated in from distance. And he's taken these very well, and I think this is a fairer reflection of the balance of play,
67.
as well as Brecel has played. Ishpreet Singh has played his part, and it's looking like he's going to reduce the arrears to 4-2.
I have to agree with you. Yeah, he's played better than the 4-1. Looking like it might have been a 5-1. But I do think that for once Luca, okay, he's got an
68.
unconventional shot selection sometimes, but he went into the bunch at a time when he didn't necessarily have to. And you just get sometimes not so much greedy, but you get somewhat adventurous when he could have possibly got that match won there with a slightly more controlled shot from the black.
75.
Went into the bunch, cue ball buried in them, and it was end of break. And that's only significant if your opponent does what Ishpreet has done here.
And there's a chance now for a 7th century already this season.
I think that stat alone tells you that he can play the game. Many first season professionals will get deep into the season, you'll see 3 or 4 centuries, 5 or 6 already. He's knocked in a good few, which means that he knows how to score, and that's what this game is all about, isn't it? The ability to knock in breaks. Can take a good shot here to get from blue to pink. He's gone the long way around, and this looks potentially an absolute beauty. What a delightful shot.
And I'm sure this sizable Nuremberg crowd will be willing Ishpreet Singh to pop these 2 balls, because this really has been impressive. What a way to keep your hopes alive in the match. Luca Brecel was in, lost position. And what a response. That is a superb century clearance from the new professional from Mumbai in India, and the crowd are appreciating the skills on show there. Luca Brecel still has a match to win here in Nuremberg. Still one away at 4 frames to 2. Day 2 here in Nuremberg at the Victor European Masters, and what a match this is proving to be. Both players have now produced a century. Ishpreet Singh hitting back from 31 points down in a frame he had to win to keep his hopes alive against the world champion Luca Brecel, and a century clearance from him underlying the potential he has. But Brecel still needing just the 1 frame to go through. There's confirmation. 101 from Brecel, 102 from his opponent.
I thought it was a terrific break.
Yeah, sure.
Hit that century from Ishpreet. The black only just made it at the end, but it was a lovely break, very controlled. Just to let you know, Alfie Burden has gone from 3-1 down to 3-2 down. He won frame 5 in that match against Kyron Wilson. Just reminding me actually that in the last qualifier, Alfie Burden Just to let you know, Alfie Burden has gone from 3-1 down to 3-2 down. He won frame 5 in that match against Kyron Wilson. Just reminding me actually that in the last qualifier, Alfie Burden in his match against Hayden Pinney was 3-1 up at the mid-session. And he arrived back late. I think he went to the bathroom and was a little late on returning to the table, and he docked a frame which sent the match back to 3-2. He still won 5-4. Tatiana Wollaston was the referee in that game. He wasn't at the table to resume on time. But as I say, he won the match. That was in qualifying. It's quite an unusual way to dock a frame. Players often do so when they obviously turn up late for the start of it, not halfway through.
Just a reminder that this evening our main match on table 1 will be Sean Murphy against Daniel Wells. Coverage getting underway at 7 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock local. The semi-finals coming up on Saturday, of course, quarters on Friday, when we go from the last 8 to the last 4. We go up to the best of 11. Final over the best of 17 frames. £80,000 will go to the winner on Sunday, and with 3 to play. He was playing with a new cue that week and then successfully defended the following year against Stuart Bingham. Matthew Stevens 3-2 up against his great Welsh rival Mark Williams.
Foul.
The in-off is
Luca Brecel, 4.
not a great outcome, but if the red passes the middle, it's not as bad as it could have been if had the red stayed up the table.
Nicely played again.
Indeed, in first. This level, you want to be in first with the balls in fairly orthodox places like they are here. I think sometimes you see players coming through, young players, I mean teenagers, you think, well, they're inexperienced, but you get the feeling with Ishpreet Singh
9.
Charter that he, at 27, seen a lot of snooker. We know that he had an injury and he went on to do other things, as Philip explained earlier, but clearly he's got a sort of a background in the game. Snooker in India is commonly played, you know. And it's taken seriously, so he knows his way around the table.
16.
I've seen youngsters with a lot of talent at the moment,
17.
likes of Liam Pullen, Stan Moody. They're going to find it very hard to stay on after 2 years, despite the fact that they are very talented players. Because in qualifiers, there's a lot of experience, sort of some gnarled old professionals who will make things difficult for you. In the case of Ishpreet, I feel that he's got something, he's almost gone beyond that stage. He's a good player, there's no doubt about that.
24.
Oh, that's a pity. Just hit the near jaw there. It was fairly close, but break ends. Well, now that one was a mile away. So it was all going pretty good at 4-1 for Luca Brecel. He was in, looking like he'd win it 5-1, probably about 20 minutes ago. And Will's not fallen off, but just come a little bit loose.
1.
Brecel has the added incentive this week that he could take the #1 ranking from Ronnie O'Sullivan, who of course withdrew yesterday on medical grounds, were he to reach the final. Mark Allen could have done likewise had he won the tournament, but of course he was dispatched by a quite outstanding performance earlier from Tepcharam Nu to make it 5 wins in 6 attempts against the Antrim left-hander.
12. Ishpreet Chowder, 12.
Well, that was quite a way off, that red. Just when he was getting his fluency together again.
One. Three. Four.
Well, he didn't really catch the pink ball full on as he meant to there, which
No.
certainly would have opened them up and the cue ball wouldn't have been drifting away from all the action in the middle of the table. So it wasn't one of his best splits.
Luca, Brecel,
That
9.
was mighty close. Played it at the pace which would have allowed it to drop, but it just...
Yeah, I mean, he's feeling it a bit right now. He's definitely feeling the pressure of the situation.
One. Eight. Nine. Yeah.
Well, I think if he's got a very serious chance of winning this match, he needs to get this frame one here and now. He doesn't want to let it linger because Luca can still close out the match given the chance. I mean, this red, this is as close as you'll see. He's tried to go in, just couldn't quite topple into the pocket. Thoroughly entertaining match though. Both players have played attacking snooker, good snooker. They've not been anything particularly scrappy, and
17.
the scoring's been worth seeing. Said earlier on that you know, it's not a new thing that, you know, Indian snooker has got players that know how to play, but there haven't been an awful lot of them over the years. Well, we said earlier on that the game was invented, but that's a different story. You know, we've got a Belgian world champion on the main table playing an Indian first year on tour player, so the game is opened up a lot for the good. I think the red to the left middle is not quite hanging over the pocket.
32.
And he didn't want to risk playing on it. He wants to get the frame one by potting this red first. Did miss a rest shot earlier. Not this time. Very good.
33.
So this match becoming ever more competitive. 4-1 down. It was looking as though Brecel would round off a comfortable win. Had a chance. Went into the reds when he was on 31. Ishpreet Singh responded with a magnificent century, and now he's closed the gap to a single
39.
frame. And Brecel looking just a little uneasy in his chair just now. We've already seen a couple of the big hitters go early, of course. Neil Robertson on the first day, Mark Allen earlier today. Could Brecel possibly be in a similar situation?
And there for other players, Jet Lozowski was also knocked out by Michael White yesterday, top 16 player that he is. Stuart Bingham beaten this morning.
52.
The third half century of the match. And how well was that cued? He had to hit it perfectly for that one to drop, and he did. It really does look like a good cue. He's taken a slightly circuitous route to professional snooker, as we've discussed already, having been a top professional gamer when he suffered that leg injury. But although he's late to the party, he seems to be determined to make the most
60.
of it. As mentioned, he's basing himself in Sheffield. He'll be fine-tuning his game in practice at Ding's Academy. And he's very ambitious. He wants to establish himself as the best ever
67.
Indian player, and in the process encourage the growth of the game back home. And playing like this, every chance.
72.
And all of this will be of some concern to the world champion, who looked to have this match in the bag, but it's looking rather less certain now.
Ishpreet Chandler, 72.
Another terrific break of 72 this time from the new professional from Mumbai. And Luca Brecel still needs one. Ishpreet Singh needs two. Brecel leading by 4 frames to 3. Very much back on then here on table 1. Luca Brecel looked to be coasting at 4-1, rather less so at 4-3, and Ishpreet Singh has put together 2 outstanding frames, a century and a 72, to close the gap to a single frame. It's been a match played at an excellent pace, very entertaining. Not the best break-off from Brecel catching the blue. He looks just a little rattled at the moment.
Yeah, I sensed that too, because he did appear that he was about to run this match out 5-1. As we just mentioned on Discovery Plus, that Judd Trump has whitewashed Jordan Brown. Impressive scoreline actually, and of course he sort of slightly goes not so much under the radar, but he's off the match table at the moment, setting up a match with Chris Wakelin, who of course had a pretty dramatic match at the Crucible a few years ago, won by the odd frame by Judd.
Karen Wilson is the defending European Masters champion, having beaten Barry Hawkins in the final last season up against Alfie Burden, who did close to 3-2 behind, having trailed 3-1 at the interval.
Yeah, I think it's gone 4-2 now, and potentially on his way to 5-2 here, that match. I think I got a glimpse of that being 3-3, that match between the two Welshmen. I think it was.
Yeah,
if I'm wrong, but I think so.
No, I think you're right. Matthew Stevens had led 3-2 against Mark Williams, but that one might be going the distance. This match has only been going an hour and a half, and already we're into frame 8. It's been terrific entertainment. Both players cueing really well.
Well, it mightn't be too bad. He's certainly steered the cue ball back to safety. The red, of course, was the slight issue, but it's gone safe. Lots of applause next door. Karen Wilson has defeated Alfie Burden. Of course, Karen Wilson plays ever so well here in Germany. Been a continuous winner here. There you see that match is all over. I think we're going to just take a little look about how that match ended.
He's won 3 of his 5 ranking titles in Germany, Karen Wilson. He's also won the Paul Hunter Classic. And that was the moment that Alfie Burden offered his hand with Wilson 76 points clear, so that's a good win as he continues his defence of this European Masters title. And Karen Wilson's reward is an intriguing meeting with Si Jiawei, who of course was so outstanding at the World Championship and very nearly became a world finalist before that momentous fight back from Luca Brecel.
Well, I'm not sure whether he can pop the black, but it'll be a mighty awkward shot anyway. Yes, that match with Karen Wilson, Si Jiawei would be very interesting, because I've watched a couple of Si Jiawei's matches since the World Championship, and he's building on that. He's playing some delightful stuff. He outfoxed Ken Doherty yesterday. The frame to win the match was one where blue, pink and black left. There's a long safety battle, but he got the better of Ken, which takes some doing. Now this shot, he's playing it, and it's quite difficult. Hard to judge the angle when you're that close to the ball. This can go wrong. Very well played. Very good. Gave it the respect it deserved. Lined it all up very accurately. But he needs another good shot to keep the break going, and goodness, if this goes in, he's in again. Didn't pot it cleanly, so the cue ball didn't go exactly where he intended it.
Ishpreet, shoulder. 9. One.
Pretty well played, in fact. So one positional shot away from having a very good chance here. Blue's kind of in his way for the natural angle to come down, so he has to hit low on the cue ball.
5.
And of course the blue away from its spot is not helping him. And those reds are up the table. Bit of work to do, and we've seen that Luca Brecel has come under a little bit of pressure. Courtesy of his opponent playing some good stuff.
Six. 10. Eleven.
Pressure certainly has increased on the shoulders of Luca Brecel now. He's very mindful of the fact that his opponent's playing very well, and the cushion that he had has been greatly reduced from 4-1 to 4-3.
50.
Other scores, by the way: Ben Mertens 3, Sanderson Lamb 1, Ashley Hugill 3, Ali Carter 1. Anthony Hamilton leads Louis Heathcote 2-1.
60.
Every angle on this brown is not favourable. If he could go a little bit further up, he'd have had a nice shot back down to a red. He's got to force it again. Not dissimilar to the last shot, this one. And that's not perfect either.
20.
Just feel that right now he's just one big shot away from getting the match won, but he just can't get position in the way he'd like to. So just feel that the break's over. It's hard to think that he could keep pulling out pots here. Don't want to do anything too risky. Thinking about playing the double, or is he playing safe? Well, he's not over the break. That's a brave shot. I mean, he's doing damage. It's unconventional. And all credit to him. Not using his own cue and put under pressure, but he still takes on the big, expansive shots.
29. 36.
Ishpreet Singh for a moment there must have thought he was going to get another opportunity. Now he's got to wait again and hope for the best. Brecel's talent was evident from an early age. On the European Junior title when he was just 14, the senior title the following year. Having made the breakthrough in Guangzhou to win the China Championship 6 years ago now, he lost his way for a while, but there had been signs before the pyrotechnics at the Crucible that he was becoming more consistent. Of course, he made the UK Championship final losing to Zhao Jintong, and then immediately bounced back by winning the Scottish Open. Won the Championship League at the start of last season, but produced something really extra special in the 17 days in Sheffield. Not just the fact that he won it, having never won a match there previously, a la Joe Johnson, but the way in which he won it.
Yes, and I think the way in which he's potentially about to win this match has been pretty impressive. Put under pressure. He's not there yet. He's got a 42-point lead, but he doesn't need an awful lot more. He's had to take low-value colours, a number of browns into that top right pocket. Now he's playing the yellow, so he's not scoring in big denominations, but getting closer. That's not a good positional shot. 44 the lead.
53.
So a red and a black would be enough, but I think he's going to have to play another double by the looks of things. The other red is a thin cut. Doesn't want to take any liberties here. We've seen that his opponent is very capable of picking up the pieces of an error. This is a difficult one. Oh, great shot. He's running away to the bulk area, but he potted it very cleanly. This break has been hard work, but very skillful.
He's a great shot maker, isn't he, Brecel? He has that ability to get himself out of difficulty with a bit of inspiration, and this has been a good example of it. He's had to improvise at times in this break, but it's surely going to carry him to the third round, and he's been properly tested today by Ishpreet Singh Chadha, who's played really, really well, continuing his eye-catching start to his pro career. 7 centuries now for him. He scored heavily again today, but ultimately in vain. But he certainly asked the question of the world champion, and he's responded in world champion fashion to get the job done.
Well, it's been an outstanding break, this. And the black's been in play, but he hasn't had many chances to pot it.
73. 74.
Well, that was a pretty dreadful shot, but it won't matter too much. But it's just that the break might not go all the way now. I never want to rule out anything with Luca Brecel, but very entertaining match this has been.
Outstanding entertainment for this Nuremberg crowd, and a really impressive performance in defeat from Ishpreet Singh Chadha in India. But it's Luca Brecel who gets the job done. A fine way to finish, having been put under pressure. He is through to the round of 32 here at the Bet Victor European Masters.